Today I'm going to show you how you're unconsciously passing down your stories, your programs, and your limiting beliefs to your kids, and what to do right now so you can stop that cycle and raise a sovereign child. So I've been in this world for nearly a decade, and as a theta healing practitioner and instructor, my job is to figure out what's underneath that subconscious mind. Within the subconscious that's controlling 95% of your reality and how you show up as a mother. Because your programming is getting passed down to your kids. And this is how we continue that cycle of unconscious behavior. This is how we continue to pass on our wounds. And this is also, with this information and knowledge, your ability to change that pattern. I know for myself, when my daughter was born, when I started doing this work and figuring out what I was passing down to her, I found out she had fears of men. She was a newborn. Why would she have fears of men unless it came from me? Because I know that deep within me, there's somatic imprints there that still have not been cleared of my trauma from my childhood that I've been passing down to her. And so with what you're going to learn today, you can begin to change that. You can begin to both identify and track what programs you're holding on to, as well as to have a deeper understanding of just how important your role is of being a cycle breaker, of knowing this, of knowing that the imprinting period that your kids are in right now is the foundational time for you to be doing this inner work, for you to be changing the stories that you're telling yourself. So in today's video, you're going to learn exactly what belief systems are. You're going to learn how you are passing them down to your kids unconsciously in the 4 ways in which you are doing so. You're also going to figure out a simple tool that I use on a daily basis to figure out what my daughter's holding on to and what I'm holding on to. It could be passing down to her. In addition to, you're going to know what to do next, what to do in this moment to begin to change that. So let's get into it. What are belief systems? Now, belief systems are formed from an intricate network of neurons in the brain. Now, we don't have to get too sciencey to know about this, but just know that neurons that wire together fire together. So if I had you close your eyes for a moment and I had you say, what's the first thought you have when I mention 9/11? Chances are there is an automatic response to something that you have that has been imprinted within your DNA. If I say, what is your first thought of fire? Chances are it's going to be either hot, burn, ouch, something along those lines. So what happens is that the brain starts to create these new neurons between the ages of 0 to 7. From the ages of 0 to 2, I believe, you're producing like trillions of neurons during that time. And now here's a key thing to know. So what are belief systems? Belief systems are an intricate network of neurons within the brain that form certain thoughts that are connected to certain feelings that as a whole creates your behavior and your identity. So if I had you close your eyes for a moment and I said, think about fire. What are your first thoughts when I say fire? Chances are it was around the lines of hot, maybe burn, ouch, hurts, something along those lines. And that most likely came from when you were a child and were raised from your parents with that mentality of don't touch fire because it's going to hurt you, it's going to burn you. Now, there are always multiple perspectives in the world for everything. Because yes, fire can hurt and fire can burn. Fire also gives you life. Without fire, without heat, we would not be here. But your first instinct is to go with what you were programmed with as a child. And so I want to take a step back. The first 7 years of your life, and now your kid's life, is called the imprinting period. Now the imprinting period, your brainwave and your kid's brainwaves are in what's called theta. Now, theta is a beautiful, meditative, altered brainwave state where it feels like a hypnosis, it feels like meditation. It also is the most malleable and suggestible brainwave state. So when your kids are in this first 7 years, everything that they are absorbing about their reality gets instilled as beliefs. So here is why doing this work is so important. Here's why knowing the programs that you're holding on to is so important. Because belief systems, the way that they are formed is primarily in those first 7 years. And it's usually when something happens either that's created enough of a traumatic response in the body that it's stored as a somatic imprint and stored somewhere in the brain as a threat, don't ever experience that again. Or if it's slowly added in layer upon layer. If it's something that has been repeated over and over again. And just know, the brain's first number that it picks up on a pattern is 3. So your child only has to experience something 3 times for it to begin to form a neural pathway that says fire is hot, or if I'm too loud, I get in trouble. So this is like we can go so much deeper into exactly what belief systems are. And if you check out the link in the description, now this is just scratching the surface of what belief systems are. And I dive deeper into it in my Theta Healing Seminar. But for you to start doing this work right now, that's why I created Flip the Script workbook for you. It takes everything that we learned in today's video into a compact form for you to follow along, for you to see what belief systems your kids are holding on to that you know you don't want them to. A lot of these belief systems have to do with safety, the primary thing that is instilled in those first 7 years. Which brings me to the 4 ways in which your kids hold on to your belief systems. So this is not to create guilt. This is for you to know that you have the power to change it. And it's so important for you to do this work. You can't just sit idly by and say, maybe they'll pick them up, maybe they won't. No, this is your time to be able to raise little light workers, and you need to know what programs you're holding on to that you're passing on to your kids. So the first way is through skin-to-skin contact. Now, it is encouraged that you do skin-to-skin contact with your baby, especially in that first year. However, if you're unaware of the programs that you're holding on to, those limiting beliefs that you're holding on to, you'll pass that on to your kids. Unknowingly, of course, but cells communicate. So just know that when you have that skin-to-skin contact, especially if other people are touching your kids, which is very common in that first year when everyone wants to hold the new baby, know that their cells are picking up that information and instilling it within the body. Now, the second way is through something you do on probably a daily basis, which is breastfeeding. Because breast milk contains between 80 to 90% water, which means that it's holding on to your information. And your information includes everything from your programs, your trauma, your wounds, your trapped emotion, anything that's unprocessed gets funneled into your breast milk and passed down to your child. Now, again, I know you're never in a position where you're wanting to be in that space, but even your current mood when you're breastfeeding is sending that to your child. Now, the third way is a way that you really have no control over unless you know how to discover that program and how to reprogram it. Because if you don't, you are unconsciously, probably even completely unaware that you're passing down belief systems to your children through your DNA. Because you hold 7 generations of beliefs within your DNA. It's wild. Most of the time, you're showing up in ways that might have been from your great-great-great-great-grandmother, but it's somewhere deep within you, and it's acted out and lived out in your experience, and now onto your kids. That one's a little bit more tricky to discover. However, I do teach you how to do this in the Theta Healing Seminar. The fourth way, which is why doing this work from the moment you conceive is so important, because the moment you conceive your child and that you were conceived, belief systems get passed down through the blood, the umbilical cord, the placenta, and the baby. So they're already starting to absorb your trapped emotions, your trauma, your stories, your in-the-moment reactions and feelings before they even come into this world. They say actually that the moment that your child is conceived, they know if they're wanted or unwanted, and they hold on to that. I've had many clients that when we do the inner work and we do theta healing, we bring them into that altered brainwave state, we're digging in their subconscious, We come down to moments when they were conceived, when they're in their mother's stomach and they don't feel wanted. And that was showing up in every area of their life up until the point where we cleared it. And this is why doing this work is so important. Because just take a moment to reflect back to your childhood. Chances are in your childhood, you experienced things that you're still navigating through now, that you're still unconsciously living through right now. And so in this beautiful opportunity, this space where we have the tools and the wisdom to be able to change our programming, this is your time to do this. So that we can stop passing down these cycles. We can raise sovereign kids. We can raise kids that feel so completely confident in who they are, who love themselves, who won't fall victim to the matrix, who won't be living in fear, anxiety, and worry, just by knowing the importance of this imprinting period. And just by consciously focusing on what programs you're passing down to your kids. And this is where that free resource will come in so much handy, because it's going to give you some programs for you to test right now that are going to be impacting your kids in these first 7 years, which consequently will impact them for the rest of their lives. No pressure. Now, here is that simple test for you. And this is in the workbook as well. So make sure you get your hands on it. And again, it's completely free. It's muscle testing. Now, the body is so intuitive. And muscle testing is a practice that we use in the Theta Healing Seminar as well. And I use with all my clients. And I use with my daughter on a consistent basis to determine what programs I'm holding on to, as well as what programs she's holding on to, and what programs I'm unconsciously passing down to her. Now, I did do a whole video on exactly how to do the muscle testing process, which you can look here. I added a little sticker or whatever it's called here. So I'd highly suggest that you check out that video as well, as it goes into detail of how to do muscle testing with your kids, as well as how to do it on your own to figure out what programs and belief systems you're holding on to and your kids are holding on to. And as well, it's all in the free workbook for you as well. Now, this is that simple test. Once you know if you're holding on to a program, say, I am unsafe, or I am not good enough, or I am unlovable unless I am perfect, silent, those are really big ones. If you're holding on to any of this and you discover this, I don't want you to be alarmed. I don't want you to feel like you're messing up your kid, because this is where knowing how to do theta healing and alter your brainwave state to theta is so powerful. And this is why doing the Theta Healing Seminar and taking this, and it's only 3 days, will be the most life-changing experience for you. Because in these 3 days, you learn exactly how to do advanced muscle testing for you and your child. You're going to know how to tune into your child's energy to see if they're holding on to any of the trapped emotions, stuck, stagnant energy from yourself or anyone else who's come into their aura field or who has touched them. You're going to be able to identify your belief systems, that deep core wounds that you've been holding on to since your imprinting period. And the best part, how to instantly, I'm not saying like 30 days of doing affirmations, 90 days of doing tapping. I'm saying instantly change those belief systems. To feel that instantly. And you'll notice and feel the shift between you and your child. Because this gives you the energy back. This gives you the confidence back. This gives you the ability to say anything is possible. And I know without a doubt that I'm raising a child who loves themselves, who is confident, who knows that they're worthy and deserving, and who feels unconditionally supported. Because that's what these kids need. And that's everything, including so much more, that is provided in these 3 days. So if that resonates with you, then this is your next step. If not, then start with the workbook. It's free, there's nothing to lose, and everything to gain for you and your child. Actually, that's not true. You will lose your old subconscious programming, and you will gain the strong foundation for you and your child. So when they leave that imprinting period, they're going to be sovereign, because that's the goal here. So wherever you are in this journey, I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for doing this work, for showing up, because it's not always easy, but it's so necessary. I love you and see you and honor you.